Hey, welcome back to the Ernest P YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to replace a ball joint on your vehicle. So first things first, pretty straightforward. We've got the vehicle jacked up and the tire taken off. For ease of being able to see what's going on here, I've removed the caliper and the brake rotor, but you don't have to do that. You can usually leave those on. Again, just for ease of seeing what's going on here. So the ball joint is underneath the vehicle here, underneath this steering knuckle. And when they wear out, you'll hear clicking, and occasionally they'll even break, and the control arm will completely come loose from this outer end here, and it'll mess everything up. So once you notice that they're starting to go out, is a good time to change it. You can check them by looking and seeing if they're full of grease, pressing on them and seeing if this rubber is torn and whatnot. If the rubber is, then you want to replace it. You can always take them loose like you would with the tie rod end and see if there's any play in it, see if you can wiggle it. In this case, there's play in that tie rod end. It's wiggly, it's loose, and you can feel it. So you can do that if you take this loose. But here we are on this specific vehicle. We will be able to unbolt. We'll be able to unbolt this ball joint and take it loose from here. So I'll show you how that looks like. We're down to this castle nut here with a pin through it. So we'll unbend the ends of this pin, and then we'll pull this pin out through, and then we'll undo that castle nut just like you would any normal nut. So now a trick to never busting your knuckles is to always pull on your wrench. Don't push it. You have a lot more control of stopping when you're pulling on something and it breaks loose. When you push, that's when you tend to push all the way through and bust your knuckles on things. So in this case, you know, if I pushed on it here, I'd be pushing, but if I put it on this side, I can pull. It's not always possible, but when it is, always try and pull on your wrench. Okay. Now what you can do is either tap on the bottom of this and try and get it to go up through, or I'll show you how to use a pickle fork to create space up on the top here and bust those through. But you can punch on the bottom as long as you're going to replace it, because even if you mushroom up and gum up these threads, you're not going to be reusing them. So we'll get a hammer and a pickle fork and show you what that looks like. So they make two different kinds of pickle forks. You can see here the shorter one is wider. That's for ball joints. This longer, thinner one is for tie rods. So make sure you use the corresponding one. Again, when you tap on this ball joint to get it to come out, you can also tap on like the control arm here to kind of loosen everything up. Let's see if we can just... Yeah, so sometimes they'll be real easy and just come right out. This one isn't, which usually is the case. So we'll use that pickle fork and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so you can see where we're at here, just on the top side of that ball joint. What we'll do is take the pickle fork and stick it on top of that ball joint there. Okay, so it starts to go in. Now we'll hit on the end of it with a hammer, and it's like a wedge, so when it goes in, it makes a bigger space, and then it'll end up popping that ball joint out. Okay, and there it popped loose, so you can see that lower control arm now is free. And we'll just go ahead and I'll show you a trick on how to push that lower control arm out of the way so that you can replace that ball joint. All right, so here's the trick. You'll want a pry bar like this with a little bent tip, and every single control arm has a hole in it like that you can stick this pry bar into, and then all you have to do is push down. And then when you push down, you can see that whole control arm moves. So that's the easiest way to do it. Once you do that, and that can move out of the way. Okay, now that that's moved out of the way, we'll just take our wrench and we'll undo these two bolts here on the side of this ball joint, and we'll replace it. Some ball joints are pressed in. I covered that in a different video. I'll link it here at the top of the screen. Just a little quick tutorial of how that looks like. But same basic principles, but this one's just bolted on. So we'll go ahead and get those unbolted and remove this ball joint, and we'll put the new one on. All right, so now once you get those bolts all the way loose, as you can see, you don't even have to do anything to this one. It just comes straight off of this control knuckle here, the steering knuckle. So that's all there is to it. You got that old ball joint out. occasionally you'll have like a 4 bolts pattern in one of them, so you can only put them in one direction, or like 3 bolts, so you know there could be a backwards or forwards. In this case it is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter, you know, which direction you put this in on. It's gonna line up just fine. So when you do anything on the suspension, it's never a bad idea to get an alignment afterwards. In fact, in most cases it's recommended. But we'll put that new ball joint on and get it all tightened back up, show you what that looks like. But at this point you pretty much know how to do it. So if you don't mind subscribing to the channel, we'd appreciate it. Give the video a like, share, whatever you got to do. Everything helps us out. So thanks for watching. This is the Ernest P YouTube channel. Again, I'll show you how to put that on at this point. But you know, if you peace out here, we got you. But if you peace out here, we understand. So again, thanks for watching, and see how we finish up this project. All right, so here's our new ball joint. It's bolted back on. I'm doing a few other things here so I can lift this up and just give you a look of what it looks like from the bottom. So those are tightened back down. You just want to get them nice and tight, probably 35 foot-pounds. That way they don't come off again, but they do have locking washers on there. We'll go ahead and put this back down, and we'll put this through that lower control arm, and I'll show you how to put that castle nut and pin back on. All right, so that ball joint's back in. We'll just take this castle nut and put it on like normal, and you'll just torque it down to a normal torque, about 18 foot-pounds. Yeah, 18 to 30, nice and tight. So now that you have that on, if you buy a ball joint, it's pretty much always going to come with this pin. You just want to line this up so you can stick this pin in there. Then all you have to do is just fold it back around that castle nut in pretty much any direction, just so it doesn't come out, and that'll keep that castle nut from backing back off. So that's how it is. Thanks for watching again. Please like and subscribe.